welcome.
Thank you.
We have Michelle Mills here from Mills Animal Hospital in Ackworth on Cobb Parkway. And we're really excited. She's going to tell us all about the practice, the background, and we're really interested to hear more about it. So just so if in case you don't know, they are, let's say, about in between Ackworth and Emerson, kind of about a mile or two.
You're on the north end of Ackworth.
Yep, right up between 92 and I guess the water park.
Right before that, like Bartow line, I believe.
Yeah, yep. My last name is Mills, so I've driven past their
So
place.
it's meant to be.
many times, and joked about how that's my side business, but it actually isn't. We talked about that when they got here, and we're not related. So, but they're near and dear to my heart. So, give us a little background on yourself. Where'd you go? Where'd you go to vet school? Where are you from?
So I was actually born and raised in South Florida. Grew up always knowing I wanted to be a veterinarian. I knew what I wanted to be before I knew the name of it. I just knew I wanted to help animals and like heal them. And so as I got older, I also realized I really love puzzles and hard things. I like solving things. And so medicine and animals, boom, veterinary medicine. It's great. And so my parents moved to Ackworth when I was 13. And so I've been here ever since. So basically I finished high school, went to KSU college here, went to UGA, Georgia Bulldogs, woo!
Go Dogs. I went to Georgia as well. So
yeah, it's the best 4 years ever. I loved it there. Loved it. I lived across the street from vet school, and I could walk to games. I could walk to school. It's great. And then I always knew I wanted to open up my own practice. I knew that too when I was little. I remember because we went into an animal hospital, and I remember just looking at this picture on the wall of this little girl with all these animals around her, and she had a stethoscope and was listening to them. And I was like, that's going to be me one day, and I'm going to have my own clinic. And then as I, graduated and started working in a local practice around here, I kind of always knew this was my plan. I'm going to, get as good as I can be, but the best veterinarian. And then once I felt comfortable enough, I had enough background and experience to be on my own, because that's not easy to be a veterinarian and be on your own and open a practice and not have a friend to bounce things off of. Mm-hmm. Once I felt comfortable, then I went ahead and did it. I had it I was very 3 to 5 years after graduation. When I was 10, I was 3 to 5 years after graduation, I'm doing this. And I remember we were getting on that 3 or 4 mark, and I was ooh, I'm getting there. I got to do it. So I made myself do it. Yeah. Sure. But it was mostly just about practicing medicine the way that I had a vision that it needed to be and I couldn't find a clinic where it was that way for me. There was just, because for me it's I treat every patient like my baby and a human baby, and it is really we are like that. With
lots of love.
Yes. And I think it's hard to do that in veterinary medicine just because of maybe the quantity or just the cost. And somehow we have been able to figure out how to be able to still provide affordable care. But it is definitely the best quality everywhere. And I know that sounds really cheesy considering that is our logo, but it is.
Well, yeah. So
it's true.
I could totally see that though. So I mean, if you're giving a little piece of yourself to every person or animal that you're caring for, you're breaking off little pieces and giving them away. And so how do you multiply how much of yourself there is to give? So I could see that being something you grapple with.
Yeah, boundaries. So boundaries. So I think every single patient, when I'm with that patient, is all about that patient. Like nobody else matters. Nothing else that's going on matters. It's about this patient and this client. And then I that was a struggle in the beginning, like the first few years of my veterinary, like being a veterinarian. I think that was kind of hard for me to like let it like, okay, I'm done with this patient. I've done the things I need to do, and now I need to move on. Like that was hard for me. But I've somehow been able to figure out how to like, okay, I'm done with this. This is all I can do today for this patient. So I'm going to move on to the next one.
Sure. Well, I need you to call my dentist and have a conversation with them, because they don't use your philosophy. They just... it's like a drive-by. I mean, I swear, when I have a cavity, I don't even know what I'm looking at. They flash it on the screen like a subliminal message, and if you aren't paying attention, you missed it. So
yeah, so
it's different.
I'm sure it's the same in dentistry as it is in veterinary medicine. Like you have clinics that have that like higher quality, spend more time with the client patient relationship, more personal. And then you have kind of the other side where it's more like quantity and like quicker in and out, and we're definitely on the more about like the patient and the client.
Well, I think in all medical care, I think that's a hard balance to strike, right? So you've got, and you found this out, right? So when you opened your office, you immediately, I'm sure, found out, I have to do payroll, and I've got to pay taxes, and I've got to manage a business.
Yeah, because I didn't have a plan for all that.
Yeah,
I just knew like I wanted to practice medicine the way I wanted to practice it. And definitely, I think for me, it's having the best support group ever.
Sure.
Just having the right people in place that like I love and trust is the biggest part of that. Like I'm very blessed. I feel like things just lined up the way they were supposed to go for me. But I just have, the best practice manager and head technician, and like my husband, he's a technician there, and so like I can't trust anyone more than my husband, and so I just have like the best kind of support staff that I'm able to kind of delegate those non-medical decisions to. And I get to just kind of, for the most part, try to be the veterinarian. No, it wasn't always like that when we first opened, but we've definitely been able to get to the point where, I can just kind of be the veterinarian at least 90% of the time. 10% of the time I have to like be the owner. Sure. But I do try to like create boundaries, because otherwise it can become too overwhelming.
Sure. I can see that. So, okay. So I have to ask, you said something that I've got to go back to. So your husband works in the clinic.
He does.
Okay, so on the org chart, if you were to draw it out on paper, he's somewhere underneath you on the chart. So how is that dynamic?
It's not hard at all, actually, because we've known each other since. So I forgot to tell you guys this part. So I always knew I wanted to be a veterinarian. So as soon as I was old enough, I immediately went to clinics and was like, I don't even know what to do, but I want to work here. And so luckily I was hired when I was 16 years old, and I started out working in the kennel and moved on to being a technician, and I was able to work at different clinics. I was told I should do that from people at Georgia. And then I met my husband. He was a technician as well. And so met him, became friends, and then I went to vet school, came back, kind of reconnected with him. And at that time I was a veterinarian, he was a technician, but we had already known each other from previous work experiences. And then, so I think we had that dynamic before the husband and wife dynamic, and it really is church and state. Like so it really is boundaries. Yeah. Like it really is. It's like, whatever happens at work stays at work. Whatever happens at home stays at home. And we have mastered that ability, which again, another blessing, because I don't know how, but we do. And everyone says it, like, I don't even know how you guys work together, but somehow we do, and we love it. And
good. So your dinner table is not the typical, how was your day?
No. We play that game.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we do. No, it is. No, we do, because you have to keep in mind he's still the technician. I'm the veterinarian. I already recognize that I'm a veterinarian. My life working in the same clinic is different than his life working in the clinic.
You don't see the same things.
Yeah. We don't see the same things. That's we don't talk to the same. We don't have the same conversations. And I do, like, I rely on my support staff to tell me how things are going. And we do. We have monthly meetings, sometimes every morning now. We have morning huddles every single morning where we talk about, kind of just how we can improve and how things are going, and do we need to change anything? Do we need to increase times for appointments because of COVID? Like, how's Curbside going? Or make sure we're telling everyone. And so, so that is definitely, I think, communication, again, church and state boundaries, communication. That's kind of, is very helpful.
Well, I have to say, if you're able to make that work, kudos to you, because a lot of people that I've talked to have not figured out that you guys have to be great communicators for that to not be an issue. So
So I think every day
impressive.
we do have that "how was your day" conversation.
Sure.
And a lot of times for me, I think it's like, oh, can I fix it for you? Like, he'll be like, well, this one thing. And I'm like, how can I fix it? And he's like, you can't. I'm like, okay, but can Brittany fix it? Like, who's my office manager? And so I'm just like, okay, well, we'll fix it. Because he's my he's my husband, but like, I have to look at him like he's another technician, just like all my other technicians. And the difference is my other technicians may not be so comfortable telling me their concerns where he is. And so I'd be like, yeah, I'm like, and I will, I'm like, hey, how's everyone going? Like, how are things going? Is, do I need to, talk to anyone? Is everything okay? And so, that is kind of helpful actually to, cause he's such a great guy that everyone just loves him and just trusts him. And like, they will be like, hey, there's this, they're probably more comfortable talking to him than they are to me, to be honest. And only because they just, they're always like, she's so busy. I'm like, no, but that's why I have the support staff to help.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's definitely impressive. So give us an idea of like what range of animals do you guys treat? Like how large? Because I know UGA's large animal program is pretty well known.
Yeah.
Do you guys do any large animals?
We don't do large animals.
Okay.
So we are strictly cats and dogs. Okay. There was a time in my life where I wanted to do all the animals. But then I also realized I want to be really good at what I can see. And so we do just specialize in dogs and cats.
Because you need special facilities, like to treat large animals. Mm-hmm. You have to have like an area to have them.
You do house calls.
Okay.
And I have thought about adding that on to our practice later. We're not anywhere close to that yet, but
there's a lot of horse farms up in like the northern
and most
Cobb.
of it would be house calls,
Sure.
And it would just be a matter of finding a veterinarian that wants to do it and figuring that dynamic out.
Cool.
I did see on Google when I looked y'all up, you had an armadillo a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Billy, I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, she was so cute.
So they're on occasion, if we find wildlife, we will stabilize them and get them to the wildlife rehabilitator. But in general, we don't. Please, no one send us your wildlife. That is not. We are strictly dogs and cats. But also, I am a bleeding heart, and so anything injured or hurting, I'm gonna help it and then get it to its place where it needs to go. So yeah, that's kind of what happened with the.
Oh, she was so cute.
Yeah.
If I find any wild animals, just know that I am going to bring them to you. It's happening. Yeah. All right. So also another thing I'm curious about, and I've asked everyone this here in the last few months, is so you guys opened officially 3-4 years ago?
Yeah. So 3.5 years ago now, right?
So how has COVID, the year of COVID and kind of coming into this year,
challenging.
What did that do to the practice, numbers wise and people's approach?
All over the place. So we were on a steady, kind of incline of growth, as any clinic would be in their third year of practice. And I had months before COVID already predetermined to hire a veterinarian, make the 1-doctor practice into a 2-doctor practice because, we were getting to that point where we needed 2 doctors and I couldn't see all the patients. And then the day he started, that's when everything got shut down for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
The day. So it was a very scary 2 weeks for me. And we lost most of our staff because of COVID. Just some were, needed to be home with their children. Some were worried about just being sick and having, conditions that predisposed them to that. And so we lost half of our staff. I gained a doctor. It was down to, again, 50% of our staff. So for the first 2 weeks, it was a little slower, but then something happened and it exploded. And then we were busier than we'd ever been. And it's kind of been like that since. So that was hard. There was a lot of, it's a few months that my staff was getting burnt out. I was getting burnt out.
Because y'all were so busy.
Yeah, and short-staffed. And the problem was, we had lost half of our staff and we couldn't hire anyone else on because we were trying, but nobody wanted to get a new job in the middle of COVID and a pandemic, and everyone's scared and nobody wants to be around other people. And so we had, ads everywhere that we were just desperate for help. And we weren't really getting applicants, and the ones that we were getting just weren't qualified for the positions. And so it was really hard. And then I had the best staff. I love every single person I work with, but I could see them just getting burnt out, and I didn't blame them for it.
Sure.
We were just all overworked, my husband included, myself, my office manager.
So we're talking the shifts were longer, having to come in on Saturdays and...
Yeah, the shifts stayed the same. Our hours stayed the same. It's just we were seeing a much larger quantity,
quicker turnarounds,
with less people to help us.
Sure.
So it was hard, and it wasn't just that. It was the client demeanors changed. Everybody was taking their life experiences out on probably anyone that came in contact with them. But I think that's what it was. Is a lot of people were scared and losing their jobs and unsure about the future and stuck at home, and the only way that they can come out was to bring their dog to the vet, and then we were the only face that they were seeing besides those at home. And so I think all their frustrations and anger and hurt and emotions kind of came out on us. And so that's what my part of the burnout was with my staff, and we were having to have those kind of meetings together. And we actually, to help people, we all came up, we were like, what can we do as Mills Animal Hospital? What can we do to help people? This is not about us, it's about the world. What can we do? And we came up with why don't we give out gifts? When people come, just give them gifts and give them a little note about how their day can be better because they have pets. And so we did that. So we spent money and we got all these gifts, and we made these different little cards that basically was life might be a circus right now, but you have the love of your pet, or quarantine might be awful, but we're here with you in spirit. Those types of things that we just sent out. And I do think it helped because we came to a breaking point where I was we cannot continue to be treated this way. And this is not just us. This was across the entire veterinary community in our world. All on the platforms, all veterinarians were saying, I don't know why people are being this way. And I know why they were.
Well, stress. The whole world, everybody, especially here I would say in the U.S., but in the South specifically, I feel because we were so quick to reopen in Georgia, people were kind of out in it a little bit quicker than other places. And so I think people's stress was high. And like you say, it's gonna manifest on whoever you're around. So
that's what we did. I held meetings, and I just kind of reminded my staff that remember, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know if they just lost a family member, their job. We don't know what's going on. Let's just remember that we're here and we can make a difference in their life. And they might come here with a terrible day and maybe even a terrible attitude, but you know what? You have the opportunity to put a smile on their face and make them feel better and help them with their pet. And, and I was if every client could just walk away from here and be man, those people at Mills Animal Hospital, they made my day. That's what I want. And so I think that turned everything around for us, because my whole staff just started getting this it's up to me to make this client better. I don't care how mean they are. I'm going to turn it around, and giving them gifts and just have a great day, and we're here for you, and stay safe. And just that really changed. I think that was the changing point where it all got better for us.
It's amazing how that little bit of a kind of an approach shift kind of changes the angle you look at it from, and it just kind of rearranges the whole thing. That's really cool that you guys did that.
Small acts of kindness.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it was it was a lot of negativity and stuff, and then I was let's just remember when someone's yelling at you, just it's not about you.
Sure. It's not personal.
It's easier said than done.
Something just happened. I know.
Yeah. It's so hard. I know. It's so hard.
But it's
we get yelled
never
at.
I know, but it's just almost never about you. It's about what just happened when they left at home, or what's going on in their life, and all these other stresses that they're putting down, and then it just comes out when and then you're talking about a loved family member, and they're stressed out because now they can't come into the building and they can't see us, and they're, and they don't, there's a trust issue there, and especially with new clients. And so I think just like reminding everyone, like, it's not about you. It's just remember, like, they're a human being and they're scared too and frustrated, and just remember that, and like just try to like put a smile on their face and give them gifts, and
so
everything will be better.
So you guys went through a stage of, I'm assuming, some type of like curbside system.
Yeah,
and
we're still there. So yeah, we had to. I mean, we were basically told that we had to, that we weren't allowed to let anybody in our building, and that we needed to stay curbside, and we are still curbside.
Right.
And I don't know when they're gonna let us not be curbside. I know there's a couple clinics in the area that tried not to be curbside and then had problems with that. And so, as far as I know, the whole veterinary community is curbside now still. But we somehow figured it out and made a great system that works well. It's still hard. It's nothing like it used to be. It's not like
Well, that's probably part of what made it so hard was you were having to basically put a whole new system in place with less people. Mm-hmm. So do more work with less people.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
it's more
and
work.
so I definitely can feel that would be hard.
More work. Yeah, and it's great because we have some clients who's like, man, you guys have this down like a system, and I'm like, thanks. And then some clients are like, and some clients would be like, this is taking way too long, and I'd be like, okay, what can we do to fix it? So there is definitely like a balance with curbside. It is hard. I do feel like we have the best system possible, and we are as quick as we can be, but it definitely takes a lot longer to do a curbside appointment than it would have face-to-face.
Sure. How did how far into the year until you were able to bring in some reinforcements? Did you got some new folks to start later in the year?
Yeah, so it was help me. May was when we first got like 1 or 2 bodies, and then July we got another, and then October we got the last 2. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're a fully staffed clinic now.
Okay. Well, that's So by the time you it was almost like you figured it out, and then got the people,
to hire
and
more.
then it got even better, and then it kind of got almost, I say, normal in quotations.
So, but you still have to remember, like,
summer.
so like May, we hired like 2 bodies. I call them bodies because they were not, trained yet. We were in a pandemic. We're still figuring out our system. It was still complete chaos, even with the new bodies. And I say bodies because they weren't, they were trainees and just kind of someone there to hold an animal to help us, So it seemed chaotic a bit. And then, like I said, as they got trained, then we got to hire like a couple more people, and then they got trained, and then a couple more people. So now we have been doing great. I have the best staff, you guys. I've been so blessed with some wonderful people in my life. And that's another thing is, like, for me, I've worked in veterinary medicine my entire life. And one of my visions was that it doesn't have to be chaotic. And almost every, I have to say every, I can't say almost every clinic I've ever worked at, the day can get quite busy and chaotic. And I don't function well in that type of environment. Mm-hmm. And so my vision was, no, we can practice good quality care, and like we can individualize every patient that comes in, like we will individualize their medicine, and it's going to be like super calm in here. And we're going to have like just like calm atmosphere and positivity, and like everyone's gonna love each other, and we're all gonna be a family. And everyone was like, you can't do that, and I've done it, and we're there. So but Good. There was a couple months during COVID that I was like, I don't like the environment that's happening. And that's when like we came up with like the gifts and just like positivity and like having morning huddles. Like morning huddles help us like get together and like, just be all on the same page and talk about like, we're going to make today's gonna be a great day, and we're going to make everyone's day better, and just like kind of coaching everybody through it.
Well, that's impressive. I think I don't know this, but I would guess that there's probably a lot of clinics that did not approach it that way out there. So, I mean, that says a lot about, your entire staff, but you and the other leadership and folks that are, in charge, that have, people that report to them. I'm sure you have like a hierarchy. So
people with me.
Sounds like it's a really strong team. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
What, Like, so if I were, I don't own any pets. I'm a dog person. So I grew up with dogs. I've had probably 10, 12 dogs in my life, but my wife is allergic. And so I think
sorry.
I really think it's just her excuse. So I just don't think she wants to have to deal with
the responsibility
and cleaning up. But I have a 3-year-old.
I was going to say, at least you have a kid.
So, well,
boy or girl?
No, it's a girl. Yeah, her name's Abigail. So they're like pets in a lot of ways.
Actually, they are. I want to write a book about how veterinary medicine taught me how to be a good mother.
Yeah, I think that would sell.
I think so too.
There's a lot of
do it one
similarities.
day when I'm not running a practice and I'm, my kids are older. Like I also have a 4 and 6-year-old, so I'm still in that like young kid stage. So I've told myself one day I'm going to write a book, like a couple books about like experiences and how
I think it's a great angle. But I'm going to show up with a dog, and this could get me kicked out of the house, maybe not. But I'm going to show up with a dog, get Abigail just to fall in love with the dog. I'm going to do it like on a day when my wife's not home, and get her Abigail. Every time she's around animals, she loves them. I'm just gonna get her like super in love with the dog. Name it.
Yeah, it won't be hard.
And get them like really playing. And then when Lauren gets home, so I'm sorry, you have no choice now. So that's my plan.
Okay. I mean, it's a good plan.
I'm a little scared.
Be scared. Be scared.
So we'll see. But
I think we should do it.
Please get the right breed. We'll have to talk about that later.
Well, there are some hypoallergenic breeds out there.
None are really like allergen free, but there are some that are better than others.
Yeah. So as far as care plans, do you guys have like monthly?
We do.
Like subscriptions.
We do
for
we
like
have
vaccines.
Wellness packages. Yeah, we do. So we came up with wellness packages to try to help people. Some people can budget like a monthly basis, and some people can more budget for like in a 6-month plan. And so we wanted to definitely tailor to people who are easier at budgeting monthly. And so we do have like wellness packages, and it's basically, we just figured out, well, what do all these things cost? If you wanted the best quality care for your pet and all the preventative care, what would that cost over a year? And so we just took 20% off of that, and then we put it down into monthly payments, so people can just pay monthly for those things.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there pet insurance out there?
There is pet insurance, and I highly recommend it for anyone who ever has a pet. There's multiple different insurance companies out there, and it's a simple Google search. But it's very, very important. So, I mean, now it is a new world. Like our pets are like our kids, and just like you have health insurance and life insurance, like you should have pet insurance. I highly recommend it. Multiple times I can tell you multiple clients have had insurance and said, just, thank goodness I have this because I'm okay. And you can definitely tell the clients who have insurance, because when you deliver news, they're like, you know what, I'm fine, I got insurance, so it is nice to just like have that peace of mind.
Sure.
And it's way better to have it like in the very beginning before any problems happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can just assume if you have a pet at some point in time in that pet's life, they will get sick. It's not it's just like your children. Your children get sick, you're gonna have to take them to the doctor. It's the same thing with a pet. It's not if, it's when.
So serves as a PSA to everyone out there.
Absolutely.
Get insurance for your dog.
Please. You'll be thanking me later.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, what else? So tell me, what is the kind of the takeaway for anyone that's kind of maybe just got a pet or is kind of in between, just moved to the area? What
come find us.
Yeah. What do they need to know?
We will help you with everything that you need. That's another thing is like, I love just kind of helping my clients, help them guide through the process of just, raising a puppy or kitten, things that you can do, I'm all about prevention. Like, let's prevent problems. Let's prevent health problems. Let's prevent behavioral problems. Let's, if you can prevent it, so much easier to prevent than to fix it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's, just come find me. But if it's not me, find a veterinarian, just get a good relationship with the veterinarian that, you can email or text or call or whoever for any, advice or information. But also us, because we're the best.
Yeah. I get that impression.
We try to be. No. So we do. Like, we are constantly trying to be the best for the patient, for each other, and for our clients. And we really, truly are a family. And I do have the best staff. And I'm just so happy. I've been in this field for so long, and Somehow. And I think it also has to do with like, I have a lot of people from a lot of other experiences too. Just like I have a lot of experiences because I was in the, clinic since I was 16. All my staff do too. So we're able to like get all these different minds together to be like, okay, well, what did you see work? Oh, you saw this didn't work. Okay, well, let's try this. Does this work? And so, I always feel like, 5 brains are better than one. It's not about me. It's about my staff, and like just kind of putting all of our heads together and trying to figure out like, we want our lives to be great, but we want our patients' lives to be great. We want our clients' lives to be great. So we're trying to like find that like, tri-circle, how to make it all perfect.
Well, it's impressive. It sounds like you guys have figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out.
It's a process.
Daily, like when problems arise, we're just gonna figure them out. So it's just it's like having a baby that grows, and you just have to like raise it. And you never stop raising your kids, right? You're never going to stop raising the clinic.
There's always a new season.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. So tell us how we can find you online. And
yeah, so you can Google us, millsanimalhospital.com. Email us, info@millsanimalhospital. And
are you on Facebook?
We're on Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, message us.
Good.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find us.
Well, you guys, we'll talk after, but you can use my face as part of your marketing since I'm a true Mills. So we'll negotiate that. It's not free.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in today. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.